Why am I not seeing my broadcast? Should be a live video. Go on. It's multi-track out. Test now. Should be streaming by now. Why am I not streaming?
Okay, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, there we go. No. Is that right? Why? I'm looking at the wrong picture here for some reason. Maybe I can check this on Facebook. Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so the voice is working. Right. Let's check the other. I'm
hey audio nerds, this is Rachel from Reverb, and today we're going to talk about audio interfaces. I know.
Okay. All right, there we go. Okay, so the voice is working. Right. Let's check the other.
Hey audio nerds, this is Rachel from Reverb, and
all right. All right, so this is fair use. If you guys nail me for this, you are naughty punks. Yeah. Please don't. So let's check this out. So this is, I'm checking, people keep sending me these audio interface guides. This one's from reverb.com. So let's see what we got here.
Hey audio nerds, this is Rachel from Reverb, and today we're going to talk about audio interfaces. I know, exciting, right? Audio interfaces. But unless you're recording to analog tape, you probably need an audio interface. So let's jump right in. So what is an audio interface? Simply put, an audio interface is a device that connects to your computer and allows you to record into it and listen back to what you're recording.
You know, I don't know that I could really explain it in less words than that. That's actually pretty good. That's cool.
There are hundreds of options out there, so how do you choose the one that's best for you? It really all comes down to price and what you're going to be using the interface for. So today, we're going to take a look on Reverb at some of the popular options and help you pick the one that's best for you. Stick around, because in a bit, I'm going to ask you some questions about what kind of recordings you're going to want to do. This will help you narrow down your search. But before that, let's take a look at these 4 factors to consider when buying any interface. Number 1, inputs and outputs. An interface really isn't an interface unless it has inputs and outputs. So some things to consider are how many instruments or microphones are you going to want to record at once? How many inputs are you going to need at any given moment? Similarly with outputs, you're going to at least want a stereo output for your monitors and probably a headphone output. If you plan to use more headphones or analog outboard gear, you may want to look into interfaces with more output options. Number 2, preamps versus inputs. Every preamp is going to have an input, but not every input is going to be connected to that preamp.
You know, so far so good. I want to say, though, one of these 4 better be drivers, because that's going to make, she's talking about price and what you're planning on using it for. I could guess, but your drivers, everything comes down to drivers on audio interfaces.
Your preamp is going to amplify low-level mic or instrument signals, and it's going to influence the sound quality and price of your interface. Don't forget, if you want to use your condenser microphones, make sure that at least some channels have phantom power. Otherwise, that mic is not going to work. Number 3, connection type. Connection type is all about speed and compatibility. These days, most interfaces are compatible with both Mac and PC, but you may need an adapter, so double check before you buy one. Most of you will be just fine with USB 2, but if you want to future-proof yourself, or you want to record multiple inputs with low latency, you may want to look into USB 3, USB-C, or Thunderbolt connect.
Okay. RME, as far as I know, has USB 2 interfaces. Nothing's faster on USB than RME. Thunderbolt, how many times have we been told that here comes Thunderbolt, and every single time it ends up working on like 3 or 4 systems and nothing at all on the rest, and been obsoleted right away. USB-C, I think, is a connector type, not necessarily, isn't that still going to be USB 3.0 or USB 2.0, even if it's on USB-C? I don't think USB-C is a data format. I think it's just a connector type. But For modern speed, low latency recording, again, RME is running USB 2, so I don't really think, you're not necessarily going to get anything faster with USB 3 either. It can handle more bandwidth, but that doesn't mean it's traveling any faster.
Connections. And for those MIDI people out there, you want to make sure that you have some MIDI connections as well.
Yep.
Number 4, software and plugin bundles. Many interfaces come with recording software and plugin bundles. If you're looking to expand your plugin library, or you want to try a new DAW, this may be the deciding factor between two interfaces that have similar features.
If they really have similar features, but if you're going to buy, Focusrite comes with stuff bundled, but if you wanted a higher performing interface, the RME doesn't come with any software bundled, and if you're going to want the lowest latency, the RME is still going to beat it, and you're not going to care because you got a couple of plugins that you can't run anyway because your latency is too high.
Alright, now that all that good stuff's out of the way, let's get to suggesting some interfaces for you. Question number 1. Are you a solo artist crafting tunes in your home studio or your bedroom? Check out the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, which offers an excellent balance of quality and convenience. The 2i2 features 2 preamps with flexible combo mic, line, instrument input jacks. It records via USB 2 and is also USB powered.
And has 2/4 inches out instead of RCA. Take a look at that. I like these things, but again, you're not going to get the fastest latency out of it. I have a Focusrite Solo to use at home.
You can take it anywhere. The 2i2 even comes with a host of software to help you start getting great sounds right away. Other even more affordable options for 2-input interfaces include the Behringer Euphoria series, like the UMC 204 HD, which features 2 preamps, a MIDI in and out, and added outputs and inserts for additional monitoring.
It's pretty scary just how much stuff that 204 HD comes with compared to the 2i2. They're not that much cheaper anymore. For some reason, the Behringer prices went up, but you'll notice there's a main out on 1/4 inch. There's 4 outs on RCA and 2 actual MIDI jacks, which I don't think you see on any of the Focusrites until the 8i6, I think. I'm not sure.
If you're looking for an even simpler solution that adds some software with your desktop interface, check out the PreSonus AudioBox i1. You'll generally find the i1 bundled with an intro version of PreSonus's Studio One 4 DAW, as well as plugins, virtual instruments, and samples. So maybe you only need 1 or 2 inputs, but you're looking for the top of the line preamps?
No, that i1 is just their version of to compete with the Focusrite Solo. So if you could run that, I would probably go for the Focusrite, because Focusrite are still making drivers for their Gen 1 interfaces. They just released them actually just recently, and I've seen PreSonus obsolete their interfaces from time to time.
Plugins, and DSP processing. Check out Universal Audio.
No.
Interfaces like UA's Aero take advantage of ultra-fast Thunderbolt and USB-C connectivity to Mac or PC. The Aero features high-quality Unison preamps and onboard DSP that powers the included real-time plugin bundle. Even the more legacy UA desktop interfaces, like the Apollo Twin Duo, will get you access to near zero latency, high-quality conversion, and access to the Universal Audio real-time plugins, which are becoming an industry staple.
So you guys know what I think about the UAD stuff, so I doubt it's gonna. I'd go buy. If you're gonna spend that kind of money, go buy RME and just run some native plugs. Back when the UAD one was around and we were running that thing, it took so much more actual CPU to allegedly offline your plugins onto the UA's DSP than it would have just to run those plugins natively. And if you actually check, there is at least one plugin that runs both natively and on the UAD, and it doesn't seem to offer any benefit that I've seen to run the UA DSP. For all I know, it stuff works now, but they left such a bad taste in everybody's mouth so far ago. I don't see them working on Windows as easily as you guys are saying. I hear a lot of problems with the Ryzens. I highly not recommend the UA stuff.
Are you looking for just a couple more preamps on your desktop interface? Check out the Tascam US 4x4, a no-frills interface which will give you 4 mic line pre's, 2 headphone outs, MIDI, and 4 outputs. The Steinberg UR44 will give you 6 inputs in total, with 4 preamps in the front and 2 line-level inputs in the back. You'll find very low latency and high-quality 24-bit 192 kHz capturing.
Now the UR series, I think, uses the Yamaha Steinberg ASIO driver, and I can't remember 100,000%, but I think they weren't Thesicon drivers. I think they're their own drivers. I have a Yamaha, whatever the tabletop one is, and it uses that driver. I think it's the same driver, and it seemed pretty good.
It has iOS connectivity, and as an additional bonus, there are some added onboard DSP effects and zero latency monitoring included that integrates directly into Cubase. Are you an in-the-box beatmaker or producer who wants to jumpstart your production skills or use an interface live? The Native Instruments Complete Audio 6 may not look too much different from some of the other 6 in and out interfaces available, but for a really great price point, Native Instruments is bundling this interface with a complete studio in a box. Over 3 gigabytes of virtual instruments, effects, and samples, as well as programs like Cubase LE and Traktor LE. If you really like instruments that connect through USB or MIDI, check out the Arturia Audio Fuse. This little box is packed with high-quality features, but the name of the game here is connectivity. With a 3-port USB hub, MIDI and ADAT I/O, and options for multiple inserts, inputs, talkback, and monitoring outs, the Audio Fuse is a really great option for in-the-box musicians who want a lot of expanded connectivity options in a really small box.
What does that end up being? 10 in, 10 out, something like that? Again, though, who makes the drivers for this? Are these Thesicon drivers, or are these something special?
Are you looking to record multiple instruments at once? You're going to need to find an interface with the I/O that can handle it. While most 8+ input interfaces are rack mount units, there are also some desktop options as well, such as the Focusrite Scarlett 18i8, which has 4 combo jack preamps, 4 additional line inputs, and an optical input you can use to daisy chain more I/O options down the line. With the Scarlett 18i8, you'll get a low latency machine that, when purchased new, comes bundled with plugins, virtual instruments, and DAWs like Ableton Live Lite. An upgrade to this would be Focusrite's Claret 8 Pre. With the 8 Pre, you'll get 8 Claret preamps with an Air feature that model their vintage transformer-based ISA preamps. And while rack mount units are safest secured in a rack, there's no reason why you can't use it on your desktop as long as you're careful. If you're on a bit more of a budget but still want 8 full preamp inputs, check out the PreSonus Studio 1824C. This USB-C interface has 2 of the 8 combo jack preamps on the front for easy access. And you can always expand the I/O with the ADAT connections, giving you up to 18 simultaneous inputs.
So that's going to be the one that is competing with the 18i20, I think it's called. The Focusrite's version of this, where they've got an ADAT input. These drivers always seem to be going neck and neck between PreSonus and Focusrite. But again, did they obsolete this box yet? Or are they going to? This one looks like it's got a word clock out and MIDI in and out, which is pretty cool. But I worry about whether you're going to have drivers tomorrow.
Plus, the Studio 1824C comes with the Studio One Artist DAW and Studio Magic plugin suite. If you really want to go all out with your first audio interface purchase, the Universal Audio Apollo series offers everything the Apollo Twin does and more. The Apollo 8 and 8P feature 4 and 8 Unison preamps, respectively. The Unison preamps offer emulations of some of the world's most famous preamps and channel strips, plus 2 high-Z inputs on the front for tracking guitars through top-notch emulations of classic amps. If you're not sure if you need more than 8 inputs, I'd recommend going with something that has that ADAT optical connection. That way you can always...
All right, so we're just going to skip over that UA. It's another UA unit I wouldn't buy. You want a lot of inputs, go buy an RME. $500 will get you 4 ADAT ports on a RME Digiface USB, or you can, get something else, Babyface or whatever.
Always expand your I/O in the future. Wow, that was a lot of interfaces. Hopefully now that you've seen them all, you're one step closer to finding the one that's right for you. If there's one you've been using that I didn't mention, let us know below in the comments.
All right, well, nothing really dumb and nothing really wrong. I just wouldn't buy that UA stuff. And really, the main thing you want to worry about is drivers. I don't care if you have the best mic preamps in the world, and if it comes bundled with all kinds of killer software, if the drivers suck, you're not going to be making much music anyway.